All right. We are live. Good day to the QGIS Open Day community. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we're going to have really an amazing session where Tibor is going to show us LiDAR in QGIS and all the amazing things that you can do with it in QGIS at the moment. So thank you for joining us, and we will go on this journey. We will be shown some demonstration, and then we will have a little bit of a discussion, and please ask your questions in the live chat so that I can ask them. And thank you for joining us today. Over to you, Tibor.
Thank you. Thank you for the organization. And I think that I was thinking how to call this presentation, so I decided that it will be called by the brief course of Eastern Europe English or Gopnik style English. But we will talk about the LiDAR, QGIS, and things what you can do. And it will be kind of free improvisation. We will talk a lot about the point clouds, then about the LiDAR processing in the QGIS with white box tools, and we will see. So probably I will start with sharing of my screen. It seems that we are online.
Perfect.
Okay. And so this is the name of the presentation. First, I will say something about the Slovak user group. Then first half will be about the point cloud in Q. Please.
Do you mind just clicking hide on the little streaming notification at the bottom of the screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Then we will play with the point clouds. I will try to teach you how to combine the point clouds with GIS data. For instance, we will try to make those kind of visualization of the combination of historical plans, historical aerial photos, and point clouds. And the second half will be something related with the interpolation of point clouds in QGIS, something about the contours, something about the smoothing of relief, and so we will see. It will be kind of free improvisation, like I told. At the beginning, I think the point clouds in QGIS is pretty new thing. It was introduced at the beginning of this year. And it was 1 year of development. It was based on really successful crowdsourcing, and it was developed by Lutra Consulting and a few other companies. And it was developed because of you, because of users. The crowdsourcing was really successful. And Lutra Consulting, like one of the author, make also really nice blog about it, I think 3 weeks ago, because as usual, everything at the beginning has some kind of beginning phase. Some things are a little bit not working now, or not so, let's call it not working, but for the beginning are a little bit complicated, but we will go through it. I will try to follow some instruction from the blog of the Lutra Consulting. I asked Amy, then we will put those links to the description of the video. And for instance, we will talk about how to install the QGIS to make the LiDAR data working. Then something how to set up the two-dimensional or three-dimensional view of QGIS. Then something with the better eye-dome lighting and visualization, and so and so and so. So we will start with the topic how to make the point clouds working in the QGIS. It's the problem that the point clouds are so new and they require so much new libraries and new things that for now the versions of QGIS, the point cloud was introduced in 3.18, are split to the two parts. One is classical installer without the support of point clouds. Second is, let's call experimental or new installer with support of point clouds. So if you will go to the web page of QGIS, I'm working on a really small resolution, so for me it is kind of hell, but I hope that it will work. We will go to the download page. Those are classical options. For more advanced user are the OSGeo installers. For the classical user are better the standalone installers. Still, I'm talking about 3.18. Last long term is 3.16, but no point clouds there. And if you wanna try the point clouds, then you have to scroll to the bottom of the page, and then you can download the OSGeo installer or the standalone installer modified for the Windows to work with the point clouds. I will not install the whole ArcGIS, but I will maybe show for the people who are not experienced with those installer how to deal with it. So you have to download it, then you have to start it. I really like the advanced install because then you can install the nightly version of GIS. You can install the different version of the libraries like the GDAL, PDAL, and so. Then you have to check the install from internet. And what is really important, if you have previous version of QGIS installed without the support of point clouds, if you have, for instance, the version 3.16 or something like that, then please change the default path to installation. Because what can happen that it will be installed in the same folder and the libraries can be mixed, and those should be really problems with the files. So my advice is, if you have two installation, give the new name, something like that. Then you can skip those things and you will see the list of resources. You will choose one and then you will see this kind of table. And if you wanna install just QGIS, then go to the desktop. If you wanna install the latest or current version, then go to the QGIS desktop and click here. And you will see the latest version is 3.18.2. For instance, I really love to play with the developer versions, with the nightlies, because every time are new feature there, so it's nice to have it, but sometimes new mean sometimes problematic, so it's up to you. And you can see that you can also install the Saga or GrassGIS here. But if you will choose for the QGIS, it will automatically download the dependencies via this installer. So then you will just click next, 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 and you will wait a few minutes or hours. It depends on the speed of your connection, and everything will be okay. So this was about the installation. So please use the not the installers from the front or from the top of the page, but from the bottom of web page. And I believe that soon we will have again only one version of QGIS. Okay, so I have the QGIS. But another really nice software what we will need is the Cloud Compare. And why? I will try to explain. You can find the LiDAR data in many forms. For instance, I will provide a link where you can download the data from the Slovakia. Those data are in really nice accuracy. it was estimated like under the 5 centimeters in the horizontal and vertical precision. Really nice density, like 25 points per square meter and points of the ground after classification. And what is really nice, that those data are really free. If I will go to our national geoportal, then I will go to the map client. I will choose the terrain. Then I will go here, and here you will see the data export, and I can mark the shape. You are limited with the 2 square kilometers. Those data are really free, but this is kind of technical limit. You can make the shape here. If you are under the 2 square kilometers, everything okay. What I forgot to tell you have to switch the point cloud. And then you will put the email. And then you will check that you are agree with the terms of use. In case of Slovakia, those are only 2 rules, that you have to provide the source of the data in the description, and you cannot share the original data what you already download. It has several practical reasons, but it's up to you. Many of countries have their own national authorities with the free LiDAR. For instance, there is the really nice database of the LiDAR of United States, and those are indexed in the tiles. So we will see. But if somebody want to play and it is from country without the data, we can download the data from Slovakia. Then we will receive the mail with the link to the data, and there will be a zip file. And in this zip file, that's one of the first problem what I have to solve in the pragmatical point of view with how to deal with LiDAR data in QGIS. If you will download the zip and point cloud, there will be not one single file from the area of interest, but there will be few of the stripes of the LiDAR data. It is called LAZ, like zipped version. And what is a little bit problematic, that at the beginning, you can deal only with one file, with one file of LiDAR data in GIS. You cannot work with merged, on-fly merge last files. So for this first problem, we will use the one open source, really nice open source software, and this software is called Cloud Compare. I can solve the problem how to merge those data into one file by many ways. For instance, really nice tools are LAS tools, but they are not completely free, and they are mainly for Windows. Then another alternative is to use the PDAL and the workflows and pipelines, but the PDAL are really nice and powerful, but maybe they are for a little bit more advanced user. So we will download the Cloud Compare. It is from the first link. Then you will go to the download section, and it is not necessary to have the latest version. It will be nice to have the stable version. If you are on the Windows, then you will go for the this installer. When you will download this software, you will install this software, and then you will have the Cloud Compare somewhere in the computer. You can type Cloud Compare, or I have it here. And how to work or how to merge the data. You will take the data. Everything is finishing with LAZ. or LAS, what is uncompressed version of LiDAR data. You will do drag and drop to the mainframe. It's one of the way how to do it. Then it will ask you what do you want to import from those point clouds, like the time, number of returns, and so and so. Usually I'm just hitting the apply all. Then what is interesting, it is asking you if you want to shift those data. The reason why you want to shift those data is that usually the coordinates in the projected systems are really big. You have several number between the comma, several number behind the comma, and it is a bit complicated for the memory of the computer and handle it. So it will advise you to make the shift to the local coordinate system. And it is really safe because you can do everything in the local coordinate system. And if you will re-export the results, it will automatically put back those offsets. So my advice is just hit the yes and yes all. Okay. We will wait a little bit. I hope that not so much. And the first thing what we will do is that we will merge those data. It is really easy. You will hit the shift and you will select everything. Everything means also this folder, and it will make the protest against it, but it is not so important. And then you will go to the edit, and then you have the option to merge. And no, you don't want to calculate the original point cloud index. And if you will hit yes, okay, I already calculate, but it was necessary. You have the one point cloud here, a little bit merged, and you can play with it. First thing what you can do is save those merged files. You have to select the file, then go to the file, save. And now what is really important, you have several options how to save it. Usually the most common is LAS or LAZ. And here is one dangerous option if you want to play with the QGIS, because that was also usually my mistake, that here is the option to save it in the newest format, but they have some bug there, and it is problematic in the QGIS. So please don't select this last 0.13 or 1.4. Select just last cloud. And I will go to my default folder for this, and I will call it PC like point cloud and merged. It will ask you about the resolution. Usually I'm hitting the OK. So we will play with around 10 millions of points. Cloud Compare is really powerful tool. You can make really nice things. You can make the really nice visualization. Like, for instance, you can visualize those data by classification of the LiDAR. You can change the colors for something, I don't know, something better. You can play with the things like the profiles, cross-section, and so. But I don't want to talk much about the Cloud Compare because it is related, or we want to talk about the QGIS. But for instance, those are the nice video tutorials of the how to deal with the point clouds in the Cloud Compare. I really like the channel of AnthroYeti, I will introduce this link. He made the video how to work with the Cloud Compare and somehow with the QGIS. Okay, so back to the Cloud Compare. Because what should be really interesting in the also in for the several reasons is that, as you maybe know, if you have the so-called classified point cloud, classified mean that every point in the point cloud have the class, like it is the point from the ground, it is the point from the building, it is the point from the high vegetation, low vegetation, and so and so. And also you have a lot of noise in the LiDAR. For instance, this is underground noise and it is something what we don't want to have. And usually I'm using the Cloud Compare also for splitting those points by the categories. So for instance, I wanna separate the buildings and ground from this point cloud, and then we will separate the high vegetation point cloud, and we will save them separately. I will try to show you why. Okay, so we have a merge point cloud. Let's separate it. Then we have to go to the. Okay, I don't know where, but usually you can use this icon filter points by value. You will see later what are the numbers of the classes. There are something like international standards. So for instance, I know that the ground is point class called 2. And because I wanna select just the classes from number 2 to number 2, I will give the number 2, and then I will hit the split. I will wait a little bit. And now what we have is another 2 files. One is everything without the ground point cloud. Second is just the ground. And I will save it like the file, save. And I will save it like the point cloud. And it will be not merge, but ground. And I will provide the extension LAIS. Okay. Then I will, for instance, separate the buildings. I will clean this up. Okay, I will go to the buildings. Buildings are class number 6. Split. Okay, not this one. Those ones are buildings. I will save them. And then we will do last things, and it is the high elevation. Okay, so last one, the high vegetation. I think that is class number 5. Split. Okay, here we have our trees, branches, and so. Later, it will depend on the time. We will play with the interpolation of those data, and we will try to do this interpolation in the white box tools in the QGIS. But what is good to know that you can make the interpolation also in the point cloud, Cloud Compare. But I prefer the GIS way to make of the interpolation. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the QGIS. Okay, we are here. And for instance, first things when you can see if you have correct version of QGIS for the LiDAR is that when you will go through the browser to the folder with your data. If you are see the point clouds here, then you are okay. So at the beginning, we will add the all point clouds, the merged point clouds. And what is important? The point clouds are in the LIS format, but the QGIS use something like internal format, internal indexed format. It is also one of the standards, or it will be one of the standards. And it have to reindex and convert those files to that format. It will take a while. Okay, I have some problems. Okay, I will try to another directory. Okay, there was some problem. I believe that it was related with the extension of the format. It's good to know that maybe the LAS files are problematic. We will try to check this issue, and maybe if it is really issue of the QGIS, we will report it. If it is the issue of the cloud compare, we will report it to the cloud compare. But I have the same data, but in the Slovak version, the merged mean the zlučené, because I was showing this to my students a few days ago. So if you will first time, but I will for a moment, because I want to simulate something. And I will explain this little break later. Okay, so I have here the from different exercise, but we will rename to this to the merged, this to the count, this to the buildings. It was made by the same way in the cloud compare, but with the different extension called LIZ. And now what is important to remark, you cannot see another folders here. You can see just the file. You will add the data to by the browser or by drag and drop to the QGIS. We will use the merged. And then you will see that it is start indexing those data, and it will start to convert those data to another format, and really powerful format for the displaying of huge amount of data. And you will see that from that moment, we have the new folder here. It is called the same, by the same way how was the original file called, but it have the prefix apt, and those here are the indexed and stored data. So for the later, if you want, for instance, work with your colleagues, and if you want to share those data, it is necessary to share not just the original the last file, but also the folder related with those files. Okay, and first we will inspect those data in the two-dimensional view. Best way how to play with the styling of the data is that if you will hit F7, okay, here you have the panel of layer styling. I have a little problem with the small screen because lower resolution, but probably for the people who are working in the GIS, they know this panel pretty well. And what is important to say that here we have several options how we can display those data. First icon is for the two-dimensional view. You can switch off the classes what you don't want to have. What I really miss is that something like you will click with the right click and you will have the option the deselect all. So I will do it manually. I want to keep just the grounds. I will turn off the vegetation, the low point noise, reserved water, and everything. Okay, then what is really interesting or really good to know is that here, if you will scroll, it will be in the 3D mode, I believe. So you can, for instance, switch the shape of the point cloud from the squares to circles, and so and so. Maybe later I will show you the trick how to make the visualization of this data a little bit more interesting, because you can see that here we have some buildings, here we have some trees, but it's really hard to distinguish the shape of the rooftop or the shape of the tree. But we want to really play with the 3D view. So if I will go to the 3D view, then I can start it with the view and new 3D map view. But we have to set up a lot of things. At the beginning, what we will set up is how this point cloud will look in the 3D. And we will try to solve the problem that every time when you will start the 3D view, you have your nice 3D point cloud, but unfortunately you have the two-dimensional plate under it. So let's start to solve this problem. I again hit the F7. And first I will change the appearance of the three-dimensional point cloud. As you see, even we switch off or turn off the classes like the noise, low vegetation, and so, we can still see it. And the reason is that we have the second tab for it. This is for two-dimensional displaying, and here is for three-dimensional. And again, we have to uncheck everything what we don't want to use. I will keep buildings, I will remove the noise, and so, and so, and so. Okay, so now you can see that you can see just the trees, the ground, and the buildings. But it's one problem here that you can still see the two-dimensional data under the point cloud. So you have to go back to the two-dimensional displaying, and you will turn off the displaying from classification to the extent only. So you will go here. Then you have just the symbol of the bounding box under the point cloud. And if you want to turn off the symbol, then go to the... sometimes I don't like the behavior of the panels in QGIS. Now I really want to know where is my panel. Okay, quick and dirty solution. It's the same like you will hit the F7. It is the properties of the data. I will go to the symbology and I will, for instance, turn off the simple line, or I will put the no pen and so. Okay, it's much time better. And maybe you wanna display those data in the more interesting way. And for this, we have the two options, and those are the show shadows. And we have another option, show item lightning. Item lightning is something like ambient occlusion, but for the point clouds. Ambient occlusion is way how to display the three-dimensional objects with the shadows and with the highlights on the more exposed things and so. What is a little bit disadvantage of this implementation, but I know that it will be fixed in one day, that if you will turn off the shadows and the item lightning, then you will see something like displayed under the point cloud. Till now, there is no way how to fix it, but I believe that there are some ways, or it will be fixed later. And about the moving about in the 3D viewer, you can use the mouse like scroll wheel for zooming, zoom out. If you will click on the scroll wheel, then you can rotate. If you will use the left button, you can make the pan and so and so. But sometimes I really like this compass and this old-fashioned way how to rotate the data, because sometimes they are more precise. Also, in the blog of Lutra Consulting is written the one interesting way, and it was inspired by the old computer games, and I believe that Blender have the mode, the same mode how to walk through the 3D data. So, what we know now? We know now, okay, it was more Chinese than English, how to display the data in the 3D view. First, what we have to know is that you have the separate tab for this. You have to turn off the classes. You have to turn off the two-dimensional displaying. And what is interesting to play with it is that you can play in the 3D settings with the point size. And maybe if you have a really big amount of the data, you can try to play with this point budget. This point size is pretty simple. It deals how to display the size of the point in 3D. And now this point budget means that at the moment is displayed 1 million points on the screen. It is kind of the generalization. If you want to have the more points, maybe for the smoother surface or something like that, you can go more, for instance, the 2 millions. But then you have to be careful with the power of your computer and the speed and other things like that. Okay, let me combine those data with the raster data. I'm thinking that if I will stay in this project, or I will do the same for another project, because I promise you how to make the combination of GIS data, historical maps, and so. So maybe I will. No, I'm talking too much about it. So we will not combine it with the historical data and with the historical maps and historical aerial photographs, because the workflow is the pretty same. What is the advantages of those data or of the viewing of 3D data in the QGIS? If you will compare it, for instance, with the cloud compare, is that in the cloud compare, you can view only the point clouds, 3D object, but you cannot view the GIS data. So I will try to add the digital elevation model here. So I will go to the browser. I will add this DEM by double click. I have my two-dimensional display of the data here. And we can make this model or this raster a little bit better. The raster was derived from the points cloud, and it was derived just from the class called ground. Maybe we will show it later how to display it, how to interpolate it. So first thing what I want to do is that I want to check the coordinate system. It is something really related with the Slovak issue, so I don't want to explain it. I will set those data that they are in our coordinate system. And one way how we can display the data is that we will use the hypsometry. That means that we will display it by the colors. Not multi-band color, but single-band pseudo color. I will choose one of those color lamps, or I have maybe something better. Okay. But still, you cannot see the details, the morphology of the relief. So good way how to display it is to make the copy of this layer. You will go to the duplicate. Then I will rename this to the DEM shade. And again, I will try to press F7, but without the success. So I will go to the properties of the DEM hillshade. And I will use the, let's call it on-fly generate hillshade. I will, for instance, add the more dramatic way. I will little bit make the digital
Exaggerate.
Yes. I hate those kind of words. For instance, for me, it's bloody hell the difference between spatial and spatial. So, okay. So we will set this factor, and we will turn on the hill shading. And here is the one of, not the problem, but you can see that because the layer is at the top, you can see the hill shade on the top. And the traditional approach, how to combine the hypsometry with the hill shade was the setting the opacity, like for instance for the 50%. But this is not so good way because then it will wash out the colors and those kind of things. So much time better way is to set the opacity to the 100%. Then you will go back to the styling, and then you will set the blending mode, and you will use the multiply. And it seems much time better. But now we have the two-dimensional model of this castle, and we wanna put it to the 3D here. So then you will go to the settings, you will go to the configure, and you will take the first option that you don't wanna display the flood earth, but you wanna go to the DEM or DEM. This error means that we didn't choose the digital elevation model. So it will be draped on our digital elevation model. And we will see what will happen. Okay, so now it seems that our model is in the 3D. We have some problem with the outliers because it was cropped, but you can set the no data to those triangles, and there are a lot of things or a lot of way how to solve this. And maybe now it will be nicer to turn off the class, the ground from the 3D point cloud. So I will go to the merged. What does it mean? The point clouds. I will go to the symbology. I will go to the 3D view, and I will turn off the two-dimensional ground. I will turn off the class called ground. And now you can see the data. But if you can, as you can see, the data have a little bit of generalization there. And also we have some problem with the offsets. Maybe we will try to play with it, or we will see. I want to show you how to make the underground data or underlight data a little bit sharper. It is good that there is the generalization, because imagine you have now the small screen, and also you are watching in the small screen, and you don't want to have every pixel in the display. So it is good, but sometimes it is better to put it to the regular way. So if you want to increase the resolution of the DEM in the 3D view, then you have to go to the options. You will go to the configure, and you will increase the tile resolution. I will try maybe 256. And the digital elevation model is now much more detailed. And also, I want to increase the resolution of the displayed pictures. Like in this case, it is the hill shading, but it should be also the cadastral map, or it should be the aerial photography. Maybe we can try to play with it for the 1 second. Here we have some data from Slovakia. We will wait for the refreshing of this 3D view. So if you want to increase the resolution of the raster data, then you have to go to the configuration. You will go to the advanced, and then you have to downscale this max ground error. It is a little bit counterintuitive. It is really hard to understand what mean what. So for instance, the resolution of the texture will be something like 0.3. And as you can see, it is much more detailed. I'm a little bit surprised that I put the aerial photography here, and I cannot see the aerial photography here, but after I switch off the digital elevation model, yes, I can see also the aerial photography here. You can turn off the classes. For instance, you can inspect just the if you can inspect just, for instance, that you want to have just the buildings there, you will switch it from the point cloud, from the symbology, from the 3D view to the we will have just buildings here, and so and so and so. Okay, it is a lot. Those are a lot of things what to talk about the displaying of 3D data. For instance, you can make the really nice animation here. You can play it with the elevation offsets and so and so. But I will go for next. Amy, do we have something like 20 minutes?
Yes, no, if you want to continue, please do. If the stream does stop, I will just restart it. And if the viewers are happy with that, if they can throw me a comment in the live chat, then we can just continue. I'm finding this fascinating. It's brilliant. So please continue.
Okay, thanks. So I think that it was somehow enough of displaying the 3D data and 3D view. Maybe we will play a little bit with the combination of the two-dimensional view and the GIS data. Why the two-dimensional? Because I really love the 3D in the GIS, but sometimes it is just for the effect. Every time I'm trying to explain to my students that if you have nothing to say, then give there the 3D picture, and if you have absolutely nothing to say, give there a 3D animation. Unfortunately, it still works. But what is the biggest value of those data are the two-dimensional representation. So we will go back to I will rename this to the point cloud. And for instance, we will try to compare those data with our Slovak cadastral or with the OpenStreetMap. We will see. So I will go to the properties. F7 is much easier. I will go to the classification. Unfortunately, I have again to check out everything. And we will keep just the building and the high vegetation. Okay. And I will put it to the top. Okay. And for instance, I will try to add, because I wasn't working with this for a long time, the vector tiles of OpenStreetMap. I really like this plugin map tiler. So I will try to add the streets. We will see by double click. Okay. Map tiler. Yeah, we have the streets, but we cannot see the buildings. Oh, it's a little bit complicated. I will give there the Slovak cadastre, but you can play with the OpenStreetMap data. Okay, here we have our cadastral map. And you can see the shifts in the data. It is related with the coordinate system, with the generalization of those data, with the things like that. We have the cadastral maps, but from the beginning of the 20th century, and we have to remeasure it, and so and so and so. But you can compare the footprints of the buildings. You can use it for the digitalization of the OpenStreetMaps and many applications. So maybe I will show you some more tricks how to display the buildings in the little bit better way to understand what is happening there. But unfortunately, till now, we have to use a little bit of workaround. But I hope that it will be solved in the next versions. So for instance, I want to add some texture to those buildings, to the rooftops of the buildings. And if I will go to the properties of the point cloud, then in the two-dimensional, I can see that here I have the classification, but you can also display those data by another ways, like the attributes like the intensity, returns number, and so and so. And what I really like to combine with the displaying of the two-dimensional point clouds is to play with the intensity of the data. So I will add just the buildings from my point clouds. That was the reason why at the beginning I was splitting the files to the buildings and to the high vegetation and so and so. So I have the merge vegetation. Okay, I have buildings here. It was generated really quickly. I have just the buildings, and maybe I wasn't playing with this for a long time, so maybe I will be not successful. Then I will finish. I will go to the symbology, and I will not take the classification. I will take the attribute by ramp. And you have here something what is called intensity. And if you will choose the good color ramp, I will play with this, for instance. You can see, okay, it wasn't so good color ramp. You can see that you can play with the things like the displaying of data by intensity. But you have to play with the intervals of the how to divide the color scale, symbology, and so and so. But unfortunately, I didn't prepare this for myself, so maybe I will talk about it in the later speech. But this is one of the way how to display those data in the different way. Maybe it should be useful, for instance, for the I have the vegetation here. Yes, I have. Now you can see the trees just like with the same color, with the same two-dimensional color. So also we will add some texture. We will use the same trick. We will go to the symbology. Then we will go to the attributes by ramp. Also, we will take the intensity, but I will try to choose the different ramp, for instance, this green. And now it is not so good color ramp, but if you will play it with it, if it will be not just the black and white ramp, but maybe something complicated, or you will play with those intervals, you will add some more. For instance, I will try to add some black color here. You can have the different results and different way how to view those points in the two-dimensional display. For now, it is a bit complicated, and it is one of the reasons why I didn't prepare this really well, because for now you have to split the point clouds to the buildings, to the low vegetation, high vegetation, and you have to make the style of each layer or each class separately. But as I know from the developers of these point clouds, they wanna have the possibilities, like I hope that in the next versions, you will have the options like make the filtering of the points by the point clouds, by the point class, by the, for instance, elevation, by the intensity. There's something really similar, like we are querying the classical vector layers, and there we have select by attributes and so and so. And maybe I promise to you that I will play also with the way how to interpolate data to two-dimension, to raster. But I'm thinking that now it is enough of information for now. Maybe if people are interested in how to interpolate the digital elevation model in different way with the different options like linear interpolation, kriging, IDV, how to smooth the surface, how to fix the imperfection of the surface, I will prepare another topic about it for the next open.
Would be absolutely amazing. Please do. We would love to have this kind of, interactive session for the next open day. That would be amazing.
Okay, so now I think that I will finish, and it is time for your questions if you have some.
All right, there are actually quite a lot of questions. I would like to ask the viewers if they have a specific question, just to post it in the live chat now so I can ask, but I will go through the live chat and there have been some questions along the way. So first of all, there are quite a lot of people saying ahoy from Slovakia. So that's pretty cool. And then and then so there was quite a bit of talk. So this video will be recorded and I will put it up obviously on the QGIS channel, and Tibor will send me all the links to the data you need, to the web pages you need, and I will add that into the description so that when you watch the recording of this and you want to sort of do this yourself in a practical manner, you have all those links at your fingertips. All right, so I don't want anyone to sort of worry about that. There were quite a few questions about that. Now we're going to go into the more sort of technical side of things. There were quite a few questions while you were sort of manipulating the data into the different file types. So one of the first ones is, what are the advantages of EPT over LAZ, the file types?
I think this is the question for the developers. They have big research how to make the displaying of those data really fast. Because what you have to realize that we are talking, this was the small amount of data. This was just 10 millions of points, but usually you are dealing with hundreds of millions of the points. And it's related with the indexing of the data, with the quadratic tree structure, and so and so. So it was the decision of the developers to use this APT format. And for instance, probably the APT format is really good because, like I told at the beginning, the US have the LiDAR data for free in the cloud, because the Amazon offer for the projects which are offered the data for free, they are offering the free data storage, and you can directly download those format in APT from the cloud. And I hope that one day the Slovak authorities will also move those data from LAS format to indexed EPT format in some way of the cloud, because then it is not so necessary to download the data. I have to work with, I'm working with Slovak data, and amounts of data are in the terabytes.
All right, and I do want to just thank Luigi in the comments for answering and explaining to those different file types. And there was a question on where this is. So what sort of fort or castle that is, do you know?
It is somewhere in the Slovakia. I think that it is in the south of Slovakia or in the eastern of Slovakia. I'm working only with cultural heritage. I'm working with the archaeologists for 20 years. What I'm making for the archaeologist is this kind of special visualization of the LiDAR. Because, for instance, I call it the archaeology of invisible. Now you cannot see nothing here, even if you have the hill shade. But if you will turn on the special visualization, what I'm making with LiDAR, with the raster representation of LiDAR, what you can see is something like Stonehenge, but it is bigger than Stonehenge, and it is 2,000 years older. So all my applications are related with the cultural heritage, with the castles, with the things like the hill forts, and so and so. Here is
That's brilliant. You're going to have to be giving us an episode of Time Team next.
Yes, somehow.
All right. So there is a question. What is the preferred hardware configuration for working with point cloud data?
I was a little bit surprised that it was not necessary to have something like bloody powerful PC. I think that the enough of RAM. I was surprised what you can solve with 16 gigabyte of the RAM. I'm using the 64 gigabytes of the RAM, and those are only rare things when I hit the limit. And my advice is, and especially if you are working with the rasters, and really big rasters, play with the SSD drive and try to go to the optimization, like to have the tiled raster and to have overviews in the raster. But I was nicely surprised. Like, I think that a little bit better common computers are okay for it.
Oh, fantastic. All right. So I think it's S1 Keller. It's a slightly more technical QGIS question. So they say, it seems like the 3D surface has a certain height over the ground, and the center, in quotation marks, of rotation is at the 2D ground. Is it possible to move the center, quotation marks, of rotation up into the 3D surface?
I understand this question, but I believe maybe if it will be Martin here, the developer of the 3D viewer, he can reply those questions. But I think that they put it to the Google Summer of Code. They put the two proposals. One is for the on-fly raster visualization and analysis, and second was related with those 3D options in the 3D viewer. And I think that one point was to make to have the option to shift the point of the rotation. So I believe that for now, no, but I believe that soon we will have this option.
Okay, I mean, this is kind of the cutting edge, brand new version of QGIS, so it's amazing, what you can do, and I mean, obviously things will grow as this is used more.
Yes.
All
It
right.
is really necessary to remark this because I think that developers of QGIS make really nice piece of work. That imagine that you will put those complicated things like the point clouds within the less than 1 year to the software, and it is just the beginning because, as I know, they wanna later add the options, not just the view the point clouds and LiDAR data, but they want to add the options to edit those data, crop those data, to make some analysis. But you have to work step by step, and you can have the options for editing the data and analysis of data. But if you have an option to visualize to see the data, it is not useful. So at the beginning, they start with this, and they will continue with more and more functionality.
All right. So there's a question here from Shane Carey. They ask if it's possible to measure vertically, or say get a building height in the, say, 3D viewer, for example. So can you measure in the 3D viewer the vertical height of an object?
I'm not sure because I'm using the 3D viewer just for the 3D view, 3D view and 3D visualization. But for sure, you can do it in the Cloud Compare.
Okay. It does seem that you are able to measure. If I read a little bit further down in the comments, Shane does say that he's able to measure in that view, but the vertical height didn't seem to be correct. I'm assuming if you get like 4 kilometers for a building, it's not right. So I think there is the option, but it's gonna see what like the accuracy is or something along those lines. All right. Here's a great question. Just from someone called AM. Is it planned to allow drawing of the vector or relaying of over a point cloud, or more interaction between vector and point cloud and raster data? So is there any plans for this?
As I know from the developers, those are the plans because they are receiving the request for all kind of way to make the 3D vectorization of the buildings in point clouds and so and so. But like I told, step by step.
So Andreas says that he'd be interested in the interpolation method summary. So I'm assuming we could address that in our next session, the
Yes.
interpolation method summary. So that would be a great sort of place to go. Luigi asks, did you find size limitations?
Yes. For instance, in the 3D viewer, it is the limitation. Even with the underlying rasters or two-dimensional things, and I cannot clarify this by the exact way, but yes, for the bigger area, I have the rasters with the lower resolution. Like, because usually I'm working with 25 centimeter per pixel of the data resolution, and this is a lot of pixels. So if I want to display something like this is area few square kilometers, then I'm using the lower resolution of the data. And I think that I didn't find the limitation with the point cloud, but this is the advantages of the APT format and the approach what they use. Because like I was trying to show you that in this properties and in this 3D view, here is the point budget. And that means that you can have 100 millions of the points, but still on the display will be something like 2 million points. And I think that I reached the limit in the somewhere in the 5 million or something like that.
All right. Okay, brilliant. Then the S1 Keller asks, just to confirm, is it possible to load EPT directly into QGIS?
Good question, and I don't know.
For next time.
Yes, for next time.
All right, and then the last question I'm going to ask, it's sort of the end of the live chat, and we're also sort of pushing on an hour and a half. So the last question is again from AM. Is there a plan to add manual classification tools for the 3D view?
It is also the question for the developers. Unfortunately, Martin cannot be here, but I believe that yes, and I also really wanna have this option because, for instance, I see the problems like in this way how to displaying the castle, because the usually castles are ruins, and ruins mean the eroded walls and so. And the classification algorithm removed all points from with the ruins from the point cloud because they cannot understand that those are the buildings, but eroded buildings. So that's the reason why also I need the manual classification in the 3D view. So one day I hope. But maybe also what is really important to remark, that even we are using the open source, the amount of the time spending in the development is huge. Those are the hundreds and thousands of hours. So it is not nice to put to the developer just a feature request, but please, if it is possible, if for instance you have some kinds of companies that are living from the open source, please put some money to those kind of campaigns or crowdsourcing for this. Or if you are a student or if you are out of budget, try to help the people with those kind of presentation, with the answering on the forums. So please don't just ask the feature, but try to do something for it.
Fantastic. I just want to thank Luigi for answering that question in the comments. He says you can import the EPT, but you have to use a plugin to do so. So it's kind of outside QGIS, but it is, you can do it using a plugin, apparently. He has mentioned the name. Could also be Zobrov Castle, apparently.
It is possible.
It is possible. No, thank you so much, Tibor. This was fantastically interesting. I would absolutely love it if you could come back on the next open day and give another presentation on this. You know, the 3D, being able to picture stuff in 3D is so user-friendly and so, you know, it gives such a great, you know, when you're presenting a map to someone, people are impressed when you can see everything in 3D, and it gives a great idea of what's going on. So thank you for doing that. And
welcome for this. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, and I'll be in touch. Just for everyone who's worried, I will, as I said before, put the links into the description as soon as Tibor sends them to me. And hopefully we will be seeing you again soon.
Hopefully. So have a nice day or night everywhere where you are. Stay safe, and I hope that see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, I ended the stream. So